where did the Alex Jones story? It's not ended. You guys' coverage has ended of it. Maybe in the future, but you're still, I guess, I would assume, your audience would agree with me that you're a bit of your perspective is still far more informed than most of ours, and we want to hear your takes on it. Are you done with the Alex Jones takes? I guess is my question, because you already hinted that you might go back to something else. I would suggest Rachel Maddow personally, just start from season 1. Do a whole new person.
I'm not opposed to it if I can find a database, if I can find like the old archives. I don't know. I don't know if I'm done with Alex Jones takes or whatever, because I think that he's still interesting, and there's a lot of like his past career that remains uncovered. But whatever he's doing in the present, I really don't think that the only reason that anything he ever did came off as interesting is because he pretended to have integrity. And he pretended to have this like, well, I'm a principled person, and these like lines that I have, people need to live up to them or I'm out. And his behavior around Trump over the last years have invalidated pretty much every single one of those things that were supposed to be his principles. So now when he's like saying he wants the 25th Amendment for Trump, and people are like, ha ha, look at you, it really doesn't matter. Like it's difficult to have a take on that means anything other than look at this asshole floundering, because he's already violated these really primal things and these primary things that he's supposed to care about. So there's some voyeurism and like laughing at him that I'd still like to do, but he's not as deep of a well for like learning something as he maybe once was.
Okay. You say that because of the changes in the ecosystem where he functions, or more like you kind of found all the gold in that vein. You fished that stream, and it's, you know what I mean? Does that question make sense?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I think it's a function of like, he only has value as long as you can pretend or convincingly believe that he means what he's saying. And I think that's true for almost pretty much everybody. I don't know. There may be exceptions somewhere, but like, it's the circumstances around him and the amount of stuff I know, like it is impossible to even imagine that anything that he's saying means anything.
Right.
And so it's not that we like mined all the gold out of it or anything like that. It's more that we've reached a point where the awareness supersedes being able to like not just discard the product. Like his show is just, who cares? Maybe good for dunking on, but not really like it's empty calories.
Was it like the same old tricks basically? Like he kind of had mapped the quiver of maneuvers. Why am I trying to come up with a different word for tricks? Is that what you're saying, or like it's somewhat predictable almost?
Or just a lot of it's super predictable. And then also like, so when we were covering earlier times in his career, like let's say 5 years ago or whatever, we could dip back to 5 years before that, and then it'd be like, oh my God, in the present, he's like changed his position from this. But now, having done it as long as we have, we're living through him kind of like pretending that the time that we covered didn't happen. Like it's a strange thing to be like, well, this person doesn't even take what we're taking seriously. And it's a spiral of cynicism, I think, that is really difficult to like hold on to.
Well, exactly what you're talking about is something we're going to be looking at in a moment, related to the Young Turks covering Alex, as they did recently. Spiral of cynicism is a great phrase. But just real quick though, Infowars getting a hold of, or the Onion getting a hold of Infowars, this process took a couple years at least, right? And this was a part of the Sandy Hook trial or judgment, or I know it's a bit complex, and there was a couple of starts and stops with the companies that were involved, but we're finally at a point where they're producing, they fully control it, right, with the rainbow logo and the merch and the Tim Heidecker's operation now running it,
as evidenced by what you have up on screen.
yeah,
They're
yeah,
making Infowars content
yeah.
as this new thing.
Did I summarize that fairly accurately though? Like, is this part of the this did emerge out of the Sandy Hook settlements and various
Well,
things?
yeah, I wouldn't say that it was a part of it, but it would not have happened had those judgments not been hanging over Alex
Okay,
and the bankruptcy come about.
right.
So yeah, I mean it's all downstream from the Sandy Hook things, but it's not like a function of the courts.
So the bigger question I think I'm asking is this justice? Has there been justice? Will there be? It's still in the works to pay out some of those major settlements, but he's also been escaping it using legal trickery and using
Yeah.
different business names. Can you summarize that a little bit, or just share some thoughts about the concept of whether justice is even close to this whole thing for how horribly he treated those families?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's obviously like a incredibly complicated
Yeah.
issue that I don't have the right
30
to.
seconds. 30 seconds. Go.
Yeah, and I don't have the right to say definitively, so I won't. But
Right.
I will
Right.
tell you some of my thoughts.
Yeah.
Like as far as Alex goes, he was able to create these other businesses like Dr. Jones Naturals and the Alex Jones store that's owned by Bigley instead of owned by him. Like he's been able to create these things and shift all of his business over to them, and he'll be able to hide his wealth probably for the rest of his life, barring some kind of pretty crazy turn of events. So is that justice? Maybe objectively you would look at that and say there's a problem there that he's able to do that. Everyone knows that he's doing that. It's transparent. And he's exploiting technicalities and the way that courts tend to protect wealth. And that sucks. But larger picture, I don't think that we have the right to decide what is or is not justice in this case and around any of this. The people who were wronged by him get to decide and determine whatever their version of justice is. And if my personal feeling is that I want, him to be run over by a car, then I'm entitled to have that feeling, but I'm not the person that he wronged. And
Yeah.
so I leave it to them to determine what is justice, what were they needing to get out of the process of the trial, and that to me I think is um really the more important thing. And I don't think that it comes down to, I don't think it's as simple as like money or him disappearing or any of that. There's a lot of other variables that are hidden and personal and have to do with you know growth and I, I
Closure. Yeah.
yeah, a lot of that stuff I think is justice and victories that maybe you or I or the person on the street doesn't have access to, or we don't understand that, or we didn't see that visibly play out. So we feel like there isn't, anything positive that's come out of all of this. And I think that is I think it's a narrow view and it's an unfair view. Um, but, you know, generally speaking, I also think that there's another point that's relevant, that is Alex has harmed everyone through his actions and the discourse and the way that he's eroded um, media. And I think that people demand justice for that. And they feel like they have more standing in that because he has harmed everyone. And I think that a lot of people are sublimating those feelings that they have for like, I demand justice for what he's done to public conversation. And I think that they're applying themselves and feeling like the courts and the Sandy Hook case should get them justice for that. And I think that's where it gets very confusing,
Right.
because people do deserve some kind of recompense for what he's done and the way that he's harmed everyone through the media. But that's not the purview of this court, and hoping that court would provide that is kind of, I feel like it centers your needs in a place where it's not about you, if that makes sense.
It makes sense. Yeah, for sure. It's not, the relevant part of that equation is the families and what the court actually has authority over in that whole process. And, but yeah, like for instance, like this Infowars stuff is probably the most visible side of that, which does feel kind of like a bad guy got his comeuppance to people that are just paying attention as media consumers, as cultural consumers. You're certainly closer to it than most are. I'm probably slightly closer. It's sort of because I work in media and I'm making a project about right-wing misinformation about the Young Turks and about the union busting and all that whole story. And so like, yeah, I do think about these sorts of things quite a lot. So, okay.
And I think that this case also provides like a really, really uncomfortable and almost impossible like mental challenge for people. And that is that like the people that he wronged and who brought him to court aren't one thing. There are multiple families who have, slight differences of opinion about various things. There are many people who he wronged as much as anybody else who weren't plaintiffs on the suit, and so like there are compound nouns that we accept, like the families, and it's more abstract than concrete, in a way, speaking for like any sense of like what they need. If you say it's one thing, it's missing the forest for the trees a little bit. And one of the things that I think with the Infowars with the Onion is they're working with plaintiffs, and if that's the case, then they're not idiots. Like they've chosen to be involved in with this. That must be part of what they want out of this.
Right. That's important. That's a nice detail to know, like that this is with at least some. We don't know if it's all or whatever, but that some of the plaintiffs were involved with this, and or is it like an ongoing thing?
Yeah, and I don't know all the details, and I don't want to speak for anybody, so I would be remiss to do that. But I'm not aware, I guess, of anyone who's like said don't do this who was a plaintiff.
I see. Yeah,
It's
a pretty interesting turn that most wouldn't have predicted, I think, coming into this at the beginning of this process, that the Onion would somehow manage to get a hold of Infowars and make a rainbow logo. Yeah. Give your hair another scoop that you just fixed. You left like a nice little sticky hair to you. There you go. That looks better. There you go. Now we can resume the Today Show. All right.
It's hot out here in the shy.
Do you have AC?
I do. I think it's intermittent.
What the fuck? Don't you have AC money? Come on, bitch. Pay for AC, motherfucker. What's wrong with you? Don't be. Just do it. Get some AC. Burn the planet. No, you wouldn't be at fault.
I've got ice packs that I have taped to my back.
Okay. I was going to say to a fan. That's a thing people are doing. All right, but you're okay on temperature. You're not overheating.
I'm a sweaty dude generally.
No problem.
So,
yeah. Well, one of the main advantages of baldness is temperature regulations. The hair is, especially thick ass hair like yours. I have nothing but compassion. That is just like being covered in fur.
One of my last road trips was, I was joking to a friend, but it was actually kind of serious, that I was practicing wearing a hat. Because I'm not a hat person. Yeah. But like I was out where no one knows me, so I don't care if they think I look weird. I was like practicing wearing a hat.
I see.
I'm still working on it. I'm still working on getting comfortable.
Like it's like the calves of the forehead. Can you allow people to see you in a hat?
Yeah.
It would be very alarming to see a man in a hat. Oh no. This is one of nature's most unusual sights. Look at that freak.
I know myself
keeping the sun off of his eyes.
I know myself to be someone who doesn't wear a hat. And so I think that everyone's going to look at me and be like, what the fuck's this guy doing wearing a hat? And no one thinks that. It is all in my head. But I still need practice.